What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. I know everybody's going to take a minute to get on in here. We might have sheets here in a minute, so I'm going to really quickly run through what I'm going to do with my slate today. My main stacks on DK are Houston. I have some Chicago, some Dodgers, and then I'm using San Francisco to filter into a lot of spots. And I really like just the Miranda Buxton part of the Minnesota order. So I've got a lot of that. I've got a lot of Mitch Haniger one-off and a little bit of Seattle mini stacks as well. On FanDuel, it's going to be San Francisco and San Diego as my favorites. I do like San Diego on DK as well. I just found them easier to get in on FanDuel, and that's what I did. So with that, Sheets is in here, and let's go, Sheets. How's it going, man?
I just got a couple of minutes. I just want to release transparency, just tell everybody what I'm doing tonight. I'm not going to be playing the Coors game. I'm going to be doing what I said in the early video. I'm going to be playing the Dodgers, the White Sox, the Mariners, and the Giants.
We're on pretty similar pages, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm chalking out a little bit more at the pitching, though, as a result of that. So I am playing Scherzer, Kopech a bunch, and I'm also playing. I am also playing Clevenger, and I'm playing some Barrios. What I did not quite have it in me to get to would be the Kirby. That was the one guy that I mentioned as kind of a pivot. I didn't think I had to with the other stuff I was doing. The other team also I'm playing, I forgot, is San Diego also.
Yeah.
I am also playing FanDuel, and it's the same teams. I'm really not. If I have any Arizona, it's kind of by accident. If I have any Colorado, it's kind of by accident. I forced in those teams I mentioned: the Dodgers, White Sox, Padres, and I didn't play Seattle on FanDuel, but on DraftKings I did.
I like it. The only thing different that we don't have is I have Houston, and I don't mind using the filling in pieces from that Colorado game, Montero. I just think there's no reason to try and worry about chalk on this slate. It's just whether you like the teams. I don't think there's anything to worry about. Maybe if you just played guys from that game, maybe you'd be a little bit. I do have a couple of full game stacks there, but I'm playing Molly and Barrios as my pitchers in those lineups. So I'm not
Molly, that's the. You know what? I'm glad you reminded me, because that is definitely something I have to consider. That's a later game, right?
Yeah, it's at. Let me just see real quick. Yeah, you lost me there. I'm sorry, I'm not quite ready for that one. Let me grab it. It's 8 Eastern, right? Yeah.
No, it's at Angels. So
it's at the Angels. My bad. Yeah, it's sorry. It's
so it's not till 9:30. Okay, that's definitely something I might consider.
Yeah, I just think that it's really important on slates like this to not worry too much about whether you have some chalky pieces. Like, I don't think it's the right strategy in general to just fade a game because you think it'll be 15. You'll have a guy who's 15% owned. Especially because the rest of your lineup is going to even that out. But at the same time, I think on this kind of a slate, they don't really stand out as being the best options that game. You know what I mean? That's a good enough reason to fade it for me. You have two bad offenses and two pitchers that tend to kind of get by. So I'm okay with it. You also have a little wind blowing in. I think Houston is just as good, maybe better than those guys are. The thing that's going to drive me crazy with Houston, and I'm already going to say it out in the universe now, and it's going to kill me. I know it. I'm not going to play Alex Bregman, and I know if Alex Bregman, goes nuts because I'm using third base for my value or for I love Miranda and I love Montero today, so I'm going, and I like the Dodgers, like Turner, Muncy, all that stuff. So if Bregman hits a home run tonight and he does 2 home runs for Houston, the guys who I mentioned that I'm fading on the shows, they keep going nuts. So it's not that I don't like Alex Bregman. It's just I'd rather spend it for Alvarez and Altuve personally.
I'm getting like 10. You mentioned Miranda. I'm getting like some double digit ownership in not ownership, exposure to the Twins a little bit. So
yeah, so that's what I have Miranda, Buxton, and then you can use Sandy Leon, assuming that he's in the lineup as a minimum cost catching option if you want to just sort of fill out like a little mini stack, which I've done a bunch of. It was in my original build for those of you who have the premium. So I like that. I think that's what I'm going to do anyway. This is it's a really good slate where you really don't have to worry crazily about a lot of things. Some other value pieces that I'm using, like Yu Chang, is at 2 home runs in the last 3 games, and he's 2K still. I don't mind using him at minimum cost. I do have some White Sox stacks, as I mentioned, and I even have Grandal in some of them, which is really weird for me against a lefty. But I'm betting against the Detroit bullpen and that they can do enough without the Grandal having to hit a home run first, which is a lot to ask for considering he's hit 300 at bats this year. But he also fits in that mid-tier price wise, but it's not the most fun thing in the world. But I really like the Miranda, Buxton, Haniger. Like those 3 guys are in a ton of my lineups with 5-man stacks or 4-man stacks and one other piece of that. I really do like those three bats, especially. With that said, I would love to go to chat and address Eric's question. I think there's no such thing as a revenge thing for a hitter. So Sheets, we can agree on this, right? Nothing. It's a crazy.
The Soto going back to Washington, you mean?
Yeah, but Soto, it's a great play. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it's revenge. Yeah.
The other thing you mentioned Miranda. I also want to just throw out another kind of a one-off that I imagine is going to get owned. You have a Christian Arroyo hitting 7th at flat 2K. I have a decent amount of him actually. A couple of lineups with a couple of Red Sox in it. He just seems to fit. Other second baseman I have, as long as I'm looking at second base. I would say,
personally, I'm just going to say I think Yu Chang is a better play than Arroyo, but I think they're both fine.
Chang?
What?
Chang, the guy from.
Yeah, he's hot right now. He's also 2K. He's got this platoon advantage, and he's batting 5th.
That you know what? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll spread the exposure a little bit.
Just a little bit. I just think there's a little more power upside. There, even though he hasn't done it as much in the majors, I think he's got more of a powerful bat than Arroyo. So I like it a little bit. Again, I think Arroyo's totally fine too, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll throw Arroyo and I'll spread it out a little bit. Dodgers as a main stack. I'm totally with you, Eric, on that as a play to get to that question. Dodgers and Padres on FanDuel. I think that's a good idea. I do worry about the Dodgers tonight, just for what it's worth. They've had just so much trouble with these guys like Lynch, outside of a few spots in their lineup, and it's not the best lineup that they released, but they did include Muncy in it, which is always a good thing, even though it sounds weird to say for a guy who's hitting 180. But he walks so much and he keeps the lineup moving, and he's a bat you can use for power too. So a little better than what I initially thought it was. But Alberto and Trace Thompson are not exactly offensive major league players. The good thing about Alberto, unlikely to get pinch hit for unless the game is really close, because he is the guy you would bring in as a defensive substitution later in the game. So at least you have that. Sandoval's for the Angels is fine. I just don't see any reason to use him. I would much rather use. I actually am much lower on Kopech. I'm way higher on Clevenger, and I'm higher on. I actually think Barrios is the same as Kopech. Maybe I think he's actually a better tournament play when you factor in ownership. So I'm going to be playing a little bit of Barrios.
JD Davis is probably going to be good.
JD Davis, I didn't consider. And why didn't I consider him? Let's see why I didn't.
He's 2,200 in that San Francisco game at third base.
Is he playing?
If he can, I mean,
I'd be shocked if he's playing.
Oh, really?
He never starts against righties.
Okay.
I don't think he has this whole season. And not only that, he gets pinch hit for. He's been pinch hit for after his first at bat when I've played him like 6 times this year.
Oh, is that right?
So he doesn't get an at bat against a righty.
Okay, I gotta think about that.
That's the only thing that worries. I mean, again, some of that was with the Mets, but they pinch it even more over in. Hang on, I have to. So if JD Davis is in the lineup, I think he's a great play. Just for what it's worth, it's just because he's 2,200 and he's in a game I like. But I can't imagine why they would play him all of a sudden. It would be very unlike the Giants to do that, but maybe they will. And if they do, he might be batting 3rd. That's the craziest part. Right. He also might be batting 9th. Sheet said he was fading cores. He just announced all of his guys, Eric. So
yeah, I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah. All right. As Rody says, let's get it. Please like and subscribe, all that stuff. What's the the Breg's hateful water feels great. I love it. I love it, Goldie. Yeah, I just think that Bregman has somehow become like kind of like I don't know whether his price stays where it is because they're betting on what he did like 2 years ago and 3 years ago and 4 years ago when they were all cheating. But I don't know why he's always priced like he is. Always scares me to fade him because I think he's a talented guy and he's batting in the middle of an order of a lineup that I love. But he is, I mean, his output is just simply not nearly where it should be for a guy who costs as much as he does in general. So yeah, I mean, sure, Soto, that could happen. I don't think that's likely that he's going to get walked 4 times. She didn't say he likes the Twins so much. She just said that he has a little bit.
I have like 10% of them.
Yeah, that's not so much.
No. What did you say about Alberto? His pinch hit risk?
I think his pinch hit risk is the lower in these kind of games when he plays, because if they do have a lead later in the game, he's more likely to stay in for defensive purposes. So just in general, he's a guy you might, who's maybe a little less. He still could get pinch hit for. Don't get me wrong. It depends on the score of the game. But if it's 7-0, he's probably staying in the game in the 6th inning or 7th inning. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's 5-4, maybe he and Trace both get pinch hit for. All right, let's see what else we got. Yeah, I agree. No banging the trash cans. They don't know what's coming anymore. I stole a World Series from my Dodgers. Possibly stole one from the Yankees. Really, really frustrating to be on the other side of that. And I'm always just a very anti-Astros person, but at the same time, like one play that people are playing tonight. I just want to throw something out here. Speaking of ex-Astros or Astros in general, it is really weird to me that Carlos Correa was getting so much love on FanDuel early in the day. And more, maybe it was people talking about him. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, so this guy, and people are like, oh, he got a lefty platoon split. So this year so far against lefties, just for what it's worth, because this is the kind of thing that drives me nuts, is that everybody acts like, oh, it's an obvious play because of XYZ and everything like that. When you get tons of at-bats against lefties and you can't hit, you have no power. He's had 102 at-bats. He's hit 2 home runs. That's not the kind of power number you want to pay up for. And he's right now projected double-digit ownership on FanDuel. Watch him hit a home run tonight because I'm saying it, but it's not a good play to play guys like that, in my opinion.
Hey, I have another one-off for you. I got Verdugo hitting cleanup at 2,900.
Yep. I think that's good. I actually think the Red Sox and Yankees both make some sense. Not good hitting weather for Boston. Pretty significant decrease, like a 10% plus, I think. But I get it. I like it. And I'll just say my home run picks for the day are going to be Yordan Alvarez, Mitch Haniger, and I'm going to say Trey Turner. I want to say Mookie, but I think I'm going to say Trey Turner.
I have to run. Good luck. All kinds of stuff to be posted over the weekend. MMA, NASCAR, LOL, everything. Talk to you later.
Good luck, Sheets. Have a good night. All right, everybody. So I'm going to get out of here in a few minutes. Drop in any more thoughts or question. Houston is my stack. These words, Eric, I love you to death, buddy, but come on, man. Long enough, there's things I hate. I can't stand locks. I can't stand what is the best stack. It's just a really weird question to ask in baseball. Who is your favorite would be the way that I would prefer it. That's what I can only answer. So I'll always answer with just my favorites. So I like what Antonio's doing over here. I think that's a really good way of sort of doing things. And I'm not getting to Montgomery, but I'm for it. I'm for Montgomery, or you could tell me Montgomery or Sandoval. And I think that they're the 2 guys who I don't have that I think are really, really solid potential options. But I didn't find the need to get there as much. And like I said, I'm using some Barrios, Smalley, Rodon, Clevenger. I do have some Kopech and obviously Scherzer. But yeah, my number 1 pitcher on FanDuel is Scherzer, just barely ahead of Rodon. The fact that they're going to be about the same ownership, I believe. I think Rodon actually might be a little more popular because he's a little cheaper. But I think that I'll be happy to take the other side of it. I think Luis Garcia is a really good play on FanDuel for what it's worth. Against that A's lineup, there's no reason why he can't go out there and put up a big number, and he should be good for likely 6 innings against that A's lineup. So I like Luis Garcia much better on FanDuel than I do on DK for what it's worth. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, Antonio. I want to acknowledge that the Barrios play is not a natural play that looks like a great play. It's just a guy with a massive amount of upside who's 7,300. And we're playing a guy who we're speculating on in Kopech. And look, Kopech's got a K prop of 3 higher than Barrios. That's absurd to play Barrios, which is everyone's gonna think. Barrios is not going to be owned by anybody tonight. There's just no way against Cleveland. And we've seen Barrios consistently in these tough matchups where they're low strikeout teams where he ends up getting his K rate higher. I don't know why, but he does. Anyway, good luck to everybody tonight. I'm going to finish building my lineups. I'll stick around for another couple minutes in case you guys do have any more questions or thoughts. But I am probably going to get out of here pretty soon just so I can get to my stuff. I'm very frustrated. But first, I'm very frustrated by my man, the general, of course, bogeying 2 of the last 3 holes to end at -1. And he's going to miss the cut on the number. Very, very frustrated because, and also -1 almost got there, which would have put me at 6 of 6 in like everything because I have 4 guys who are stuck at -1. And that's a little frustrating as well. So a little frustrated with the golf stuff. And I'm just talking golf because we don't have the other stuff. I am going to get some through, I believe, depending on what Neiman does. And where is Neiman right now? Uh-oh, what did he do? Hopefully, yeah, he's at -3. So we're looking good on Neiman here. So yeah, at least I'll get a 6 of 6 on my, on a big one of my, I only played like 3 big lineups, but one of my big single entries, at least should be 6 of 6. I'm just double checking, see that JT Poston ended at, he had a bad day, only at 4. So everybody at 4 under in Neiman. Wow, that's cool. I wish I could get one of those guys at 10, but what are you gonna do? I think Jays are always fine. It always depends, Eric, like, cause you ask so many questions about so many lineups. Are you considering playing like 15 different stacks? Cause I really don't I think it's just a terrible way to play DFS. If you're playing 150, it's still a terrible way, in my opinion. I just don't think you should play like 15 different stacks. But can the Jays go off? Absolutely. And are they going to be low owned? Absolutely. They're the team that I'm not getting to that I think just they make a lot of sense. Sure, to throw in as a long shot team whenever they're low owned. You could argue that you should just play 10% of them every day, but the problem is you have to set like a limit for that. 20 lineups tonight. I think you should probably have no more than 4 stacks. 5 would be the max I would go if I was playing 20 lineups. So I would not be playing, and I'm just not getting to the Jays. And maybe you could argue that you were playing like 4 stacks, and then you have 2 single lineups where you're just putting 1 stack in of the Jays. That I could get behind for sure, but it certainly wouldn't be. I'm not aiming for the Jays, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they go off because they are incredibly talented. I think that's pretty much it drying up on the questions here. I need to turn it around. It's been a really bad week, really, really bad week for me DFS wise. So ready to have a big Friday and then cancel it all out and then end up with a hugely profitable week. We've done it many times before, guys. Let's get it tonight. We'll be in Discord all night. Pop in your thoughts, pop in your questions, and we'll get to it. Thanks a lot to everybody. Thanks, Eric, and good luck. Hopefully we'll see somebody take something down. Let's see it. Let's go Team True DFS.